In the last video, we talked about inputting the employees and the labor costs for every project that you have. We talked about salary employees being inputted on every single job, regardless if they're on the job or not, and hourly employees being inputted based on if they're on the job or not. So hourly employees, you input them if they are on the project. Salary employees, it doesn't matter if they're on the project or not, you're inputting them for every single project that you estimate. And now we can move over to the production rates tab. And in here, you can see that everything on this tab is editable. Now, we didn't include any production rate tracking tab in this spreadsheet because production rate tracking gets very customizable to your specific business. And when we're doing production rate tracking, we're doing that in the field. We're taking notes, and we're taking notes on every single thing that happens on a project, breaking it down into different tasks. So as you can see here, we've got excavation, we've got base preparation for a driveway, base preparation for a patio walkway. And if you scroll over, you can see everything that we've broken down our business into in different features and retaining walls, how we install them. The list goes on and on and on. Now, we didn't include production rate tracking because it's much easier to do that in a separate spreadsheet, and it's completely unique to everybody's business about how they want to track their production rates. Now, when you get this spreadsheet, you're going to have none of this in here when you get it. These are just here for an example, for this estimate example. We might include them when you get it, but you can zero them out just so you can see what we have done. Again, these numbers are completely made up, but what we do in the field is we'll take note of, if we're doing a front yard excavation with a skid steer, we'll make note of it. And we'll make note of the area square foot that we do and the hours that we do. And then at the end of the season or midway through the season, we'll take all of those numbers and we'll get an average. So we'll get an average square foot amount and the average amount of hours that it took us to be able to do that square footage amount. We'll take that average and we'll input it in this spreadsheet now. So on average, a front yard skid steer excavation of an average 100 square feet took us 0.5 hours to do that 100 square feet. These are average amounts because that gives us the best amount of data to be able to use our production rates to then calculate our labor time. And we're going to get into the labor time very shortly. We just wanted to touch on production rates because it's really going to help your business to be able to track your production rates, because it's going to really help you streamline the estimation process. And not only that, you can then hand off the estimation process to your salespeople or to whoever you want, because then they can go to this labor time tab, and it's very simple for them to choose the method that you're going to be doing, clicking on it, and then inputting the square footage amount. And that amount in hours is going to pre-populate based on your production rates. So if you type in 1,000 square feet that you're going to hand dig and wheelbarrow, that's going to be 33 hours, and that's going to pre-populate here. And it makes it very easy for anybody in your business to pick this up and to estimate a project based on your production rates. There's no guesswork, nothing like that. Now, it's totally fine. I did it for many years, this guesswork where I would close my eyes and I would walk myself through the different steps of a project to be able to think about how many hours that's going to take me and how many hours is I'm going to, put into this project. And I would do it as that. If you're still doing that, if you don't have your production rates tracked and you don't have any good data to give you an average, it's very easy to do an override in this spreadsheet. You would simply go to here. And if we're doing a project for Miller, you would just type in, you can type in whatever you want, but you can type in Miller project. If it's a 200 square foot walkway, I would just say 200 walkway square foot. I would just put 1 for now to make it easy. And if I know it's going to take me 20 hours to do that, I'm going to type in 20 hours. And then I would just keep in mind that I did it under the excavation. I would go to labor time. I would find the excavation tab. I would go here. Let's just go down here for now. And I would find that Miller project 200. I would type in a quantity of 1, and all of a sudden that 20 hours inputs, and I'm already done. So that's based off if you're not doing your production rate tracking or anything like that. But for this example, we are going to be doing the production rates to show you how that works. So we're going to zero that out and show you how production rate tracking works. Now, when it comes to production rate tracking, you can change any of these that you want to whatever you want to do it. Whatever production rates that you track. You don't have to do what we've done here. So it's, for example, excavation. If we go over to our labor time, we're going to see excavation there. But it's highlighted red because you should never change that. That's because if you don't want to do production rate tracking on your excavation, you want to do it on something else. Say you want to do it, we haven't included it in the spreadsheet and you think it should be there. Say compaction or whatever it may be. But we include our compaction in our base preparation production rates. But for this example, compaction, if I hit enter there, I can go back to our labor time and you're going to see compaction. So this is totally customizable to whatever production rates that you want to be able to track. But, keeping it the way that you're going to get it, we're going to just keep it at excavation and keep it there. So as you can see, anything that as we showed before with this Miller project walkway, anything that you input in this column is going to show up in this excavation drop down on the labor time. And that's the same with any of these. Base preparation, if you continue down here with your base preparation, whatever you input here is then going to transfer over into the base preparation and so on. Now, getting into labor time and doing an estimate based on our production rates, we're going to do that right now and get into it. And starting right off the bat, if you do not have enough rows here, if you think that you need more rows than just these three, it's very simple. You just quickly highlight it by clicking on the number 9, highlights that whole row, right click on it, and you're going to do copy. And then you're going to right click on number 10. You're going to insert one row above. That gives you that row. You're going to right click on number 10 and you're going to paste it. And all of a sudden you have another one there that you can use, and it's all available in that drop down. So completely customizable to your business, completely expandable, whatever you want to do, it's here for you to expand, to grow with your company however you wish. Just showing you exactly what this spreadsheet can do for you in your business and how it can grow and be customized to your business specifically. Okay, so let's walk through an example of using your production rates in order to estimate a project. As you remember, all of our production rates are inputted. To be able to do this, again, you can override it by just simply inputting it there. But for this example, we're going to walk you through this production rate. So we're going to stick with this 200 square foot front walkway. And for this example, we're going to stick with a front yard hand dig wheelbarrow, 200 square feet. And based on our production rates, that's going to take us 6.66 hours to do. And again, that populates up here. Red, we're not touching, right? All that's inputted. Brace preparation is not for a driveway. It's a patio walkway. We're going to do front yard three-quarter clearstone. We can do whatever we've got in our production rates, but we're going to stick with that three-quarter clearstone and do the 200 square feet. And again, that populates there. And 200 square feet of HPB as well. And we're going to do front yard, small size pavers, 200 square feet. We've only got one size paver, so we're sticking with that. Edge restraint, we're going to stick with a plastic edge restraint at, we're going to do a 20 by 10, so 30 linear feet for that. We have our linear foot estimate there. Polymeric sand, 200 square feet. And cuts, our production rates, we measure pick and cut, and we measure the cut in place production rates. Measure pick and cut, obviously, like for a pool coping or whatever it may be, is some sort of wall coping that you have to measure it, mark it, pick it, cut it, put it back in place. Or a cut in place where it's a front walkway and you're cutting in the soldier course. Quite simple to do that. We're doing the 30 linear feet for that, and that's going to be 1 hour. Now we can keep going. There's no retaining walls on this. There's no features or anything like that, and even a custom one that you can do. But just keeping this nice and simple for this example, we're at 19.97 hours for this. But that's at a 100% efficiency factor. Now, when we get into efficiency factor, in our business, what we do is we base this efficiency factor on these three things. That is to prepare. So our workers get to our yard, they prepare, they drive to the job site. As soon as they get to our yard, they're clocked in, they are on the hour, but they're not getting anything done on this job site. And our production rates are based on them getting something done on the job site. So that's where this efficiency factor comes into play. So for them to prepare and drive to the job site, it's going to be different for every single project that they do based on how far they're driving. So for this project, let's just say that they're doing a 0.5 hour or half an hour drive. As you can see, our efficiency factor based on our 8-hour workday, which pre-populates based on our business operations tab that we put in there. So we've already gone down to a 93.75. Again, to clean up, to come back to our yard, another half an hour. And breaks and lunch, we can value that at let's just say an hour for the heck of things. And that gives us already down to a 75% efficiency factor. So that will not pre-populate into this efficiency factor, just in case you want to manipulate that however you may want to manipulate it in order to get the number right for your business. It's just a quick calculator here to show you, hey, you're not getting 100% efficiency. No matter what, you're down to a 75% efficiency based on these numbers. Change this as you will. We're going to keep that to a 75%. And already we're at a 24.95 labor time for this specific project. Now, everything's going to be calculated based on these hours. Going back to labor costs, now our hours are inputted for all these employees. As you can see, they're calculated based on their hourly earnings. And our owner is calculated, though that 24.96 hours is there, and that's his hourly rate. So for, based on his salary that we inputted, it's now all up there. And we can then go to our estimate tab, and we can already see, here's our labor costs for those 25 hours. Here's our overhead expenses based on those 25 hours. And here's our total. This does not include our profit, and this does not include our cost of sale. Now, I want to quickly backtrack just to show you, going back to what we did at the very beginning in the business operations tab, what would happen to these numbers if we inputted, say, 2 operating crews. Now, if we go all the way back to our estimate, our overhead expenses has halved, and our labor costs have gone down, and not halved because we'll get into that very shortly. Let's talk about our overhead expenses going in half. It's gone in half because we have 2 crews making money on that same day separately, and they have the same amount of overhead expenses. Now, if both crews are making back 100% of the overhead expenses that our business has, all of a sudden we have 200% of our overhead expenses coming in, which means we're making double our overhead expenses, which just does not make sense. It doesn't make sense because, I mean, your overhead expenses should just be covered once, not twice. So that's where that 2 operating crew comes into play when it comes to overhead expenses. Now, where it comes into labor costs, that goes back to our labor costs tab in our owner rate. Our owner rates will be halved because of the 2 operating crews and not 1. Any salary employee will be based on that operating crews because their salary is being split up into those different crews, because we're always trying to make back that money, but not make it back and double. If you want to make back money on your labor costs, we will do that in another tab, but it's not done to be able to make back your overhead plus some, or make back your labor costs plus some. That's made back in a different way, and we'll get back into that at another time when we get into the labor burden. So now that we've covered production rates, we've covered our labor time, we can now get into our materials and our labor costs in the next video to close out the series on how to use the spreadsheet.